All right, welcome. We are officially live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We got me and the legend, Kevin Kohler. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going? Thank you for
Good,
having.
of course. Um, if it looks like I'm warm and Kevin is cold, it's for a reason. Kevin, where are you for the so that people know where you're out of?
Yeah, I'm in the flyover state of Nebraska, so I'm out of Omaha, Nebraska, and it is pretty chilly here today. So I think you probably have about 45-degree difference on us.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, it's today's a cool day. It was in the 60s this morning. It's about 70. But welcome. I see that we have some folks that are coming on. Welcome. So this is the first ever Franchise Empire video newsletter. It could be the last, depending upon how this goes. It could be the last one. So as you're watching, as you're tuning in, um, drop a comment and let us know. Like, does it suck? Do you want to see it again? What do you think? Do you have questions? And because I'm genuinely curious, we just kind of threw this together. We're gonna ad hoc it a bit, Kevin and I, and talk about some of these franchises that are in the newsletter. And I'm genuinely curious to what you guys think about it. So as you're tuning in too, just let me know like where you're tuning in from. Just very curious, like what city and state. Drop it, drop a comment in the chat. That'd be great. I do know the platform that we're streaming through has about a 30-second delay. So, Kevin, we may ask a question and not see the response for a good 20 to 30 seconds, etc. But Kevin, do you want to just introduce yourself for the folks that don't know you?
Yeah. So my name's Kevin Kohler. I work with Tarek. We've partnered probably maybe close to a year and a half ago now. But yeah, I'm a franchise broker. I work with all of Tarek's clients on really kind of the front end part of our process and helping to evaluate different franchise opportunities. And yeah, we work with all different types of people, all different types of people looking to get into different types of businesses. So yeah, that's kind of me. I have a business partner named Krista. So if you did work with us, you probably worked with both of us at some point. But yeah, that's a brief intro.
Boom, let's go. Yeah, so I was introduced to Kevin and Krista a little bit over a year ago, and they've worked with a large percentage of our clients, have helped a lot of our clients buy franchises. Up until now, really, we've kind of hidden Kevin and Krista and kept them behind closed doors to keep them for ourselves and our clients, so that you guys can only work with them if you were in our system. But we've kind of lifted that veil just in the spirit of just wanting to be of value to everyone. And we'll drop a link and stuff later if you want to get in contact with Kevin and Krista. But let's just dive in. And
Hopefully,
welcome Michael
hopefully
from
you don't
Dallas,
want.
Texas.
Yeah, hopefully you don't want to hide us again after this newsletter. So
I'm already having regrets.
yeah,
I'm just kidding. Michael, I'm feeling a little bit upset after what the Cowboys did to the Commanders. I am a Commanders fan, formerly Redskins. I grew up in Virginia, so Michael, I don't know how I feel about you being here, man. Well, assuming you're a Cowboys fan. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to start hitting on this newsletter here, and we're going to talk through it. And as we're going through it again, yeah, just let us know where you're tuning in from, what city, state, so we can make fun of you. Just kidding. And again, let us know if you like it, if it sucks. What do you think about it? I'm feeling a little frisky and good today, so I might be making all sorts of jokes, and I know that Kevin will be. So let's scroll up. Let's start at the top. So we recently started sending out this newsletter to. We do a couple things. Really, we show. I kind of put my own little message in there. Kevin and Krista do some research, and they find a franchise that they put together, done some research on, that kind of represents a new opportunity. They also find quality franchise resales that are out there. And so Kevin and Krista are the ones that really do the research and put together the debrief on the specific franchises, which is pretty cool. And so if you guys want to join this newsletter completely free, I'm going to drop the link here. It's just franchiseempire.com slash newsletter. And we don't ask for your phone number or any of that other stuff with our other opt-ins. You just enter your email and you'll be able to get the newsletter. But starting at the top, Kevin, what's I put this little note here around, it's the end of the year, right? The end of the year is kind of weird. Like what I don't know, what happens in your mind in the end of the year? Like are you a coaster or are you someone that like kind of goes balls to the wall? Like what's your style?
It's an interesting question. Yeah, I feel like a lot of it is planning for the next year and setting up some things so we start January 1 hitting the ground running. But I mean, there's really I don't know. I wouldn't say there's any coasting at all in terms of when you're a business owner. Like, at least not anytime soon when you start the business. So for us, it's not really any coasting. I would say planning for next year, figuring out what's worked well over the last year, what we're gonna do differently, and kind of putting our foot on the gas pedal. I mean, we constantly want to grow. I know you do too, Tarek. Like constantly want to help more people and see how we can reach more people. So that's ultimately the goal. But yeah, I like to work with people that are foot on the gas pedal too.
Like, yeah. Kevin and I are both type A, high D. We like to win. We're super competitive. Don't mistake Kevin's calm, relaxed demeanor. He is a savage on the inside, which is why we get along so well. But I just wanted to put this note because some of you guys like watching. It's so easy. Like Thanksgiving just happened. Like it can be the lost 5-6 weeks out of the year, and but basically you have an opportunity right now, right? Which is um to just figure out either you want to put your foot on the gas and finish strong with the specific goals that you have, whether that's to, find a business, diversify, set yourself in a position so you can transition out of corporate. Maybe you already have a business, maybe you want to diversify that, but just know that either you can take your foot off the gas and slow down, or you could really blow yourself away and see what you're kind of really capable of. So it's just a message to just know that the I think there's a combination of what Kevin was saying is that like the real successful entrepreneurs, they do a combination of two things. They reflect, like Kevin was saying. Bridge and I are about to go to Mexico for a business planning retreat. Doesn't that sound sexy?
Sounds awesome,
But it's
honestly.
actually 4 seasons, so
Yeah, I think it sounds great.
yeah, because we're wired the same way. I actually really like it
Yeah.
too. But we're gonna just reflect on our, what we've done for the year, what our goals are, but really with a focus to finish strong. So hopefully I'll do too. All right. So Kevin, featured resale. So we got the ground guys with Neighborly. So talk us through this resale.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like service-based companies in general, and this kind of falls under the home services category. Grounds Guys is essentially a landscaping, hardscaping, somewhat property maintenance company. So, what's cool about it is they got a mix between like reoccurring revenue, where you'll have residential and commercial accounts that you're constantly maintaining their lawns, and also like the opportunity to sell them large landscaping projects, snow removal, other stuff like that throughout the year. So a lot of people think it is seasonal, which it kind of is, but you do have stuff during the winter months that keeps your crews busy. I love these types of businesses because I just think there's a huge demand for it, and if you can build a team and keep people around, the customer base is there. In my opinion, like you can get the customers. So the cool thing about Grounds Guys is it is a Neighborly company. Tarek, Neighborly, they're huge. They want to be like the Amazon in the home services industry. And what that means is they're basically Neighborly's an umbrella company that has about, I think, 22-ish, 23 home improvement franchises underneath its umbrella. So yeah, it looks like Tarek's going to bring up. So yeah, you can see some of these Neighborly brands here. everything from HVAC to handyman businesses to electrical. They've kind of got it covered. And so what's cool is you'll have other neighborly franchise owners in your market, most likely, that you can cross refer customers. You can share resources. They got a lot of buying power collectively from suppliers because they have hundreds and hundreds of franchisees. So neighborly is a legit company for sure. There's a lot to like about being a neighborly brand. So that's a quick minute long overview of grounds guys. But yeah, what other questions, Tarek, or what other topics would you want me to cover on that one?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, just to add my 2 cents there is, yeah, Neighborly is definitely like they're like the 800-pound gorilla, right, in the home services space. And I would say it's not for everyone. Like there, right, there are that would be an interesting talking point real quick as we dive into this specific resale. Actually, let's hit on the resale first, and we can talk a little bit more about Neighborly. So, and I'm not going to try to figure this out now, but next time I'll make sure I can like zoom in so you guys can see a little bit bigger. Um, but yeah, tell us about this specific resale. And if anyone's out there in the Ohio area and interested, and then for those of you who are interested in franchise resales in general, we'll tell you how, if you want to, we can check on, or Kevin and Krista can check on if there are any other franchise resales in your area.
Yeah, so this one, it's in Canton, Ohio. It's about an hour south of Cleveland. It's been around since 2016. Their last year sales were a little over 800,000, and the asking price is around 550,000. So based on that asking price, you would think, it was profiting a good amount of money each year. I'm assuming some equipment and things and vehicles may be included in that asking price, but we would have to dive in to get additional details, just like any resale opportunity. But yeah, I like this one because it seems like it has a decent customer base established with that reoccurring revenue with a lot of lawn maintenance contracts. Something you can grow upon, and then also, like I mentioned before, add all the other services from landscaping. I even think they do like lighting and things like that. So yeah, pretty good opportunity if you're in the Cleveland metro area.
Yeah, it's cool. There's a lot of talk these days about boring businesses online. It's become a really popular thing, and so what's cool is that like this would be considered a boring business, right? I don't know that there's anything sexy about like a landscaping business, but I do like the fact that because there are some franchises and some businesses that are going to do better in some areas, just the geographic areas, just based on the way things kind of work. But what's cool is with the snow stuff and the variety of services, seems like there's an opportunity for someone to do well, kind of no matter what market they're in. Their business just might look different if you're in Florida than if you're in Maine, right? And just like you may be making money off of different things in the business. And I know one of the things that you and I talk about, Kevin, is the higher the sales price on a resale, the better. Because we had a client in the system that you are still working with, and he was like, oh man, this business is, there was a resale he's looking at that was like $800,000 or $900,000, and it was he felt a little bit uncomfortable with that. And like both of our perspectives were, the more it sells for, the better, because like the price is usually based on a multiple of its profits, right? And so can you talk about that a little bit, and I guess the benefit of having an accredited third party business valuation, because not all resales have that.
Yeah, that part was interesting, so I wanted to include it in this newsletter. But basically, what that means is they probably had some sort of business broker or some sort of a business appraiser value this particular business, and what they likely did was looked at the last 3 years of financials, their tax returns, and understood the number really is like the seller discretionary earnings, which is net profit plus any like add backs you would get. So add backs could be things the owner's writing off on the business, like a car that's really used for personal use or whatever it may be. So the seller discretionary earnings is the number you kind of look at, and then you apply a multiplier based on the market average for that type of business. So let's say a broker sees a landscaping business in this area typically sell for 3 times seller discretionary earnings. It's likely that's what the multiplier is going to be, or very close to it. So those are all things you want to look at, and we would help you look at when evaluating a resale business. But like Tarek said, it's exciting when something's listed for fairly high, because that means it's likely, and especially when it's been valued by a third party, that means it's likely pretty profitable.
Yeah. 100%. Bridge and I are looking at a resale right now, which is I don't even know if did I tell you we have an LOI in? A
A
signed
little bit,
LOI?
yeah. We haven't chatted much about, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we actually have we just started the process of getting the purchase agreement squared away with the attorney today. So we're in the thick of it right now with a resale. So yeah, I just love just resales overall. And Kevin and Krista have helped a few of our clients now buy resale. So I'm going to click on this. I didn't have any links prepared. Again, we're kind of ad hocing this. Drop us some comments to let us know if you're enjoying it so far. And if you're interested in kind of seeing what franchise resales are available in your area, then you can chat with Kevin and Krista. Here's the link. I'm going to drop it in there. Into the comments, and you guys can set up a call with Kevin and Krista for free, like just a quick, no obligation. It's not going to be salesy, just to see like what's even available in your area. The cool thing about franchise, and it looks like some of the comments are not actually posting. I don't know if it's just like a glitch on my end, but it's just franchiseempire.com/resales. Franchiseempire.com/resales. Here, before we close the loop on the resale part, and we'll dive into the other franchise that's in the newsletter, is that what is cool is that for resales, assuming that it's a profitable resale that has some good margin in it, like people can potentially only put down 10% with an SBA if they're financing with SBA, as opposed to the typical 20% that they would for a new franchise. And actually, the SBA recently came up with like a new rule in underwriting where if someone's qualified enough and the business profitable enough, instead of putting down 10%, you could negotiate 10% seller financing with the seller, finance the remaining 90, and be legit no money down, if the business has the margin in it to support the debt payments.
That's
Isn't that interesting?
that's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah. So cool. All right. Well, next part of the newsletter, we so in every newsletter we put like a client case study in there. So Ashley and her husband actually, so they were entrepreneurs already. They owned a furniture store for like 15 or 17 years. Actually, they owned a few furniture stores, and when COVID hit, it just really messed up the business, and they decided the best thing to do was just to move on from the business. And they worked with us, and they actually wound up working with a different broker that's kind of on our team, but they wound up buying a franchise. They bought a Wallabies Windows. Have you heard of that? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Wallaby Windows.
Yeah, cool. So they're happy, they're pumped, they're doing really well. Experienced entrepreneurs just really hit the ground running. Ashley said that going through the zero to profitable franchise system, one thing she said in her testimonial video was it was like getting an MBA in franchising, which is pretty cool because like her and her husband are savvy people. Like these are not like we get some people coming through the program where they're complete newbies. We got to do a lot of hand holding. I know how much Kevin loves hand holding and hardcore analyzers and thinkers. If you struggle with making a decision and paralysis analysis, Kevin loves working
Hey,
That's
I'm getting better at exercising my patience, but yeah, and I mean, people have different styles. Not everybody moves. I move too fast sometimes, so I totally respect everybody's style. uh, but it is true, man. I mean, like you hear like people that are inexperienced and then even experienced. Like I've worked with all different types of clients that have come through your system, and it still is beneficial. And oftentimes the people like myself who are too stubborn and think they don't need to like go through the program often benefit from it the most. So
a good point.
yeah, I mean it is, I think, working with us as something a little bit different is we will try to hold you accountable to following it, and making sure like because if after you go through the process and you get that foundational knowledge, it's so much better to go into discussions and negotiations with the franchise with that foundation because otherwise a lot of times you're going into it blind.
It's a good point, and I actually think that there's Kevin's actually really good at working with all personalities. Me, not so. I'm a little bit impatient. Yeah. Um, if you struggle making decisions, uh, but it is an interesting point because sometimes there are people that they're really high D as well, but they move too quickly. They think they know it all, and they're like, "Nah, I got this," and then they wind up making mistakes, or they don't like they don't follow the system or the guidance because they're just like, "Oh yeah, no, I can kind of do it." That bites them in the ass. It's happened to me many times before, just because I kind of default to that style. And then you got the other extreme, which is just like information overload, analysis paralysis, struggling to make decisions. So it's really a balance of like somewhere in between. And sometimes if you're going real fast and you feel hyper confident, sometimes the best thing you could do is just like slow it down a little bit. Um, anyways, we have a whole franchise. We have a whole YouTube channel on reviews from our clients. You can also see them at tarkjohnson.com/testimonials. I think if you want to go like watch some of the video reviews from clients, I think we have almost 30 of them. I think we have 29. And for you folks out there watching, if you knew how hard it is to ask someone to get on a video and like talk about their experience, it's not easy. So we're really grateful for the folks that like wind up going through the system and just sharing their experience, because it's usually pretty awkward for a lot of them to like get on camera and talk, almost as awkward as Kevin is. But
I don't, yeah, this is a little bit uncomfortable for me if I'm being honest. I don't love talking about myself, but I like talking about franchises, so I'm glad it's about that.
well, speaking of franchises, so the second franchise in the newsletter, the franchise of the week is Bio One. You guys are familiar with Bio One. I think we've had a client in the system buy a Bio One that you guys help introduce. So, what the heck is Bio One?
Yeah, we kind of intentionally put this one in there because I feel like you probably hear about, all these different franchises and food and beverage and maybe even like home services, the typical ones, but this one's so unique. So I think it could be eye-opening for people that there is specific franchises, so many specific franchises out there that you may have never heard of that could be a good fit for you. And this one may not be for most people, but it's kind of a meaningful one. It's called Bio One. It's a crime and trauma scene cleanup franchise. So think of like restaurant kind of in the niche of crime and trauma. So very uncomfortable and sad situations oftentimes is what your company is coming and cleaning up for, both businesses as well as people at their homes. So it's a tough job, but if you have you know kind of the stomach and the purpose, you're interested in the purpose behind the business, it can be a great opportunity because you're helping people in a time of need, and it can be a lucrative business. So yeah, this company's been around for a while. They have 127 franchise units throughout the country. Very low startup, so the total investment is typically under 150,000. You can operate it from your home to start. You just need like a van and some equipment. Need a couple of employees, not a ton of employees. And from what I understand, they have pretty large territories. So comparatively to other franchises, you would have a huge like territory to serve. A lot of your business might come from referrals from like um, police departments or fire departments or other referral sources like that, insurance companies that are going to notify you when a client of theirs or somebody has had an accident or something has happened where they need your help. So that's kind of a general overview of the franchise. The numbers are pretty good. It's if you look at the item 19 here, this is just a snapshot from their financial performance. Their top quartile is doing. I'm having a little bit of a hard time. Let me see if I can pull that up. I think it's around 680,000, if I'm reading that correctly, annual revenue.
Yeah, if I can, here, I'll make this bigger and just hop it in here.
Yeah, but from our experience of our recent client going through validation with this, I think the margins are pretty good. They have the net profit numbers in here, as you can see. So we always like to see net profit numbers in the item 19, which is actually pretty unusual for a franchise to include that.
Oh, where do they include it? Or you guys didn't put it in there?
No, it's in there. It's a column, net profit percentage.
Oh, okay, I see it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that is unusual. Sorry.
yeah. No, I'm looking at your inbox with 1,783 emails in there. It's giving me
So
anxiety.
if you've emailed me and I haven't responded, you know why.
Yeah, but so this business, I mean, it is definitely something you can scale. From what I understand, like you just, you get a certain number of referral partners and backlog with one van, and then you just add another van and a couple of employees per van. So it's something that's easily scalable. And like I said, you don't need a physical location to run this business, so you can get started pretty quickly. Limited competition too. That's a good point. There's not a ton of people in this niche, and again, it's not for everybody. A lot of people probably look at this business and be like, "There's no way in hell I could ever do that," myself included. But if you do feel like you could muster up doing this type of work, it can be a great business.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is I think that, when people a lot of times when people are looking at franchises, they're looking to do something new or something different. I think the best way to get your first win under the belt is to do something that you're familiar with. I actually think that's the best way to if you're looking for the quickest path to success, I think that's it. And, so for someone out there that potentially is, ex-military, former military, um, or they're currently a first responder, and they're looking at something different, it's like those sort of people, it's like right up your alley because, like Kevin's saying, you probably have a unique stomach for this sort of business, right? Not everyone can run a business where you're potentially cleaning up crime scenes or bodies or, really tragic and traumatic scenarios. But the reality is like it is a business, it is a need and a service that people need. And the individual that went through the zero to profitable franchise system that bought this franchise, she was former military and I had actually done her initial consultation call of her joining our program and system. I remember her telling me the story then or what I don't I think so. I forget how that conversation happened, but she had an experience when she was in the military with kind of something like this and that made her feel more comfortable, I guess, with this franchise. Was that kind of the story?
Yeah, she had a pretty intimate experience, and not to get into details of it, but it was something where it was hard, but she felt like, man, I was tough enough to like deal with it, and I'm glad I did. So my colleagues didn't have to deal with it, and especially their family didn't have to deal with it. And so we talked through it, and she ended up just like loving the purpose behind this business, and it was kind of a perfect fit for her. So really cool human being. She's an awesome person, and I think just her, you know, the, her intention going into the business, I really do feel like she's going to be a perfect fit for it. So yeah, again, not for everybody, but there is a need for almost every type of service or product out there. I agree with you. I think it is finding something you have experience in, but also, skill set and what type of skills or job responsibilities are needed from the owner is a big thing, and that aligned well with her as well. So, um, yeah, Bio One is kind of an interesting one.
Yeah, cool. I like the fact that their corporate location's been around for 13 years. Like there are not that there's anything wrong with emerging franchises, but there are a lot of ones that, really kind of just are popping off and in the last couple of years. My personality I think would be one where it's like I think a huge reason to get into franchising is really having that track record. So like to me, this strikes me as one of those brands where like they put their money where their mouth is and they have a strong track record, which I think that is, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned.
Um,
Oh, sorry, Tarek. You mentioned earlier like the type of person that's a good fit for a neighborly brand. Well, like those are very stable, established brands, right? In a very stable industry overall in terms of home services. So, you know, someone like yourself looking for stability or proven track record, like a neighborly brand is perfect. Other people then, but there's benefits to that. But there's also benefits to going into an emerging brand, which could be like territory availability, opportunity to grow, so it's kind of up to every single person and your risk tolerance and what's going to be the best fit for you systematically. But I remember you mentioned that, so I wanted to bring that back up before we moved on.
that's a real solid point. Yeah, some people might hate being with a brand like Neighborly because they may feel like there's too much red tape or things move too slow, whereas someone else like really loves it. So yeah, I think that's a really valid point. And then in the newsletter, if you guys want to see just what new franchises are available in your area, you can go to franchiseempire.com/check territory. Franchiseempire.com/check territory. And again, we kind of threw this together a little bit last minute. So me or the team will try to go into all the different places where we're streaming to and drop all the links for if that makes things easier for everyone. And then last thing, the most recent Franchise Empire Show podcast, ironically enough, was with Kevin and Krista. Uh, so check out the podcast. You can watch it on YouTube. We have a dedicated channel. It's called the Franchise Empire Show YouTube channel where we put the podcast episodes. You could also listen on all social media platforms. We actually just got a new logo for the Franchise Empire Show. So the new logo that we got for Franchise Empire, you guys should be able to see the lion. I think the team started updating it everywhere. And you can see it in Kevin's background, but our designer just came up with a specific variation of it just for the Franchise Empire Show, which I'm pretty stoked about. I just saw it this morning. I was like, man, that looks epic. So cool. As we cap, any like last touch points that you want to talk about in relation to kind of those opportunities, Kevin, or for folks that are, kind of perusing just franchising overall, trying to find the right fit or figure out if it's right for them?
I think going back to your original, the first section you talked about on like, is it time to put your foot on the gas pedal or not? I mean, there's never going to be a perfect time for you to look into buying a business. Like or even owning it. You just have to like make sacrifices in your life and do it. Like stop talking about it and just do it. So, I talk to people all the time, like my friends and families, like, well, yeah, of course you're not, because you're never going to just get it done. Most people just won't get it done. They're not willing to make the sacrifices. So it doesn't matter if it's the holidays. It doesn't matter if it's, I mean, you're going to have an excuse come January too. like just do it. So that's the D coming out in me. I mean, you got to just kind of just make a leap and stop talking about it. So
100%. Yeah, because then it goes into holidays, and then it's spring break, and the kids are on spring break, and then that passes by, and then school's ending, summer's starting, and the kids are in, and it's just it goes on. And it's funny because I like to listen to a lot of podcasts. Kevin and Krista know that I'll just like bombard them with YouTube videos that of like business content that I'm watching, and constantly be like, hey, watch this, watch this, watch this. Send it to them in Slack. But I was watching this podcast episode. There's a cool podcast called My First Million, and it's a couple guys that they had like pretty significant exits from companies, and they had Jesse Itzler on, which is Sarah Blakely's husband. He was behind like Vito Coco, Coconut Water, Marquis Jets. He's just a hugely successful entrepreneur, like to the tune of like hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of net worth. And he was talking about that most people say that I can. Oh, he was taught uh, back in the day when he was starting his first business. He met this real successful business guy, and the guy asked him like, "Will you make it happen?" This idea that he had, and he was like, "Yeah, no, I can make it happen." And the guy got angry and like threw down his stuff. He was like, "I didn't ask you if you can. I asked you if you will. There's a big difference." And so there was this dialogue in the podcast around the difference between like, oh yeah, I can blah 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 blah, and it's like, yeah, but will you? And there's the gap between where you are and where you want to be, and why most people never achieve the dream and the vision that they want for their life is the gap between like, can you, or I can, and I will.
mhm.
And I think that's just the truth of it. And, just to kind of before we close, like Bridget and I looking at this franchise resale right now, like we're both busy. We're both slammed. We got a lot of stuff going on. We got an 18-month-old and a 4-year-old. We like the timing's not right for us, but the opportunity was there. We've been looking for a while. There were two other people making offers on the business, and so, it's just, well, are you going to do it? And like, we're already in the season of like, all right, cool. We're going to make sacrifices, planning what's family life going to look like. We're going to take a trip now at the end of December. Actually, not take a trip. We're going to stay in the area and stay at a Disney resort and go to Disney, which is going to be fun. But we're going to do that now in preparation for knowing that the next 3 to 4 months, we're going to be like nose down working more than ever. But we know it's going to be a season, and 2 years from now, what it'll do for our family will be incredible. But we know the next year, I don't want to say it's going to suck because Bridge and I enjoy business, but we know that we're going to need to make some sacrifices over the next year. And that's just the reality of it. So,
Yeah, it's exciting.
yeah. Cool. And I know Kevin can relate too, because Kevin, like you guys own a franchise and you guys got young kids, right? So like before we close, what's your take on that for people with families and that are busy?
I mean, the when we bought our franchise, we were literally like in the hospital with our first. My wife was pregnant with our first, and I don't know if I ever told you that, but we were gonna like sign, and then we were just waiting for a while, and then my wife, she's just like a badass. She was like, "No, we're just gonna decide and like email them now, and we'll pay and sign while we're in the hospital." And so like we literally did that, and we could have made an excuse and we could have delayed it, by weeks and weeks, but we didn't do that. So I guess the point of that story is again, like it's going to be hard with kids. Like we went through the toughest time in our life while we were launching a business, and it worked out. You just got to take that leap. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I think you just have to get your mind right. I think spousal support is huge. Me and you are lucky to have that. Not everybody has that. So, um, yeah.
For sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you think in the comments wherever you're tuning in for. Did you like it? Did you hate it? The plan was to only go for like 15 or 20 minutes, and we went for double that, but that's okay. It is what it is. Let us know if we should do this again or not, if we sucked or if Kevin sucked. No, I'm just kidding. Kevin was awesome. All right, y'all. Have a great week.